Hello and welcome back to the Untriggered Parenting Podcast with me, Paula Sampson Lawrence. This is episode 3 of the Empowered Conversation series. Today my very special guest is Eirini Anagnostopoulou, a teacher and a parent coach, and we talk about changes that can be made to the classroom environment and also to the school system in general to make it a more conducive environment for young people to learn. So welcome, Eirini, to the podcast. It's so lovely to have you here and to speak to you. And I want to say, Eirini is such a beautiful name. So if you first tell us what that means, and then you can pronounce your last name for me so that I don't butcher it up.
Hello, Paula. It's great being here with you. Thank you for inviting me to your lovely podcast. My name is Eirini in Greek, because I am from Greece. It means peace. So my parents gave me this name to honor world peace. They were romantics.
Yeah, I love that.
And my last name is a bit long, and it's Anagnostopoulou.
So if you give us a little bit about your background, because like you said, you're from Greece and you were a teacher out in Greece. So what was that like for you? How was that profession of teaching out in Greece?
So yeah, I was born and grew up in Greece. My dream as a child was always to be a teacher. I worked for 12 years.
So if you were teaching in Greece for 12 years, what age group were you teaching?
Primary school age, from 6 to 12.
And when you came over to here, to the UK, was your aim to carry on teaching?
Coming to the UK, yeah, I was planning to go back to my profession because I love it. And even though it is an exhausting profession and that only teachers can understand how exhausting it is, at the same time, it fills you up being with children and experiencing their progress in their academics and in their life skills and being close to them. And in Greece also, you have the chance to have each class for 2 years. So you have the chance to bond with the children and their parents very much.
That's really good. That's really good. So I think certain kids, I think, really benefit from having that connection and somebody who knows them, following them in that, like another transition into the next year. I think it really helps.
Yes, it helps very much. And it helps the teacher too, because next September, you don't have to spend time knowing your kids. The relationships are already there. And the second year has always been much better for me because we could expand everything. And I already knew where I could support them more, their strengths, their struggles. So the second year was always better for me and for my children.
And for the children,
it was much more difficult to say goodbye, of course.
Oh, I bet, of course. So in the UK, you haven't gone back to teaching. You've actually moved into parent coaching. So we'll get into that a bit more later. But for now, what made you not teach in the UK when you got here?
I think that the main reason was that things here in the UK are much more different than in Greece. After sending my son to primary school, I realized that schools have behavior management policies, something that doesn't happen in Greece. The policies are not official. I don't say that's positive or negative. It's something different.
Just a fact. Yeah.
Sometimes not having something organized and fixed and with rules and with policies can lead to people who do whatever they want and no one judges them. So in Greece, it's the other side of the spectrum. You're completely free. And for example, I checked the behavior management policies of the school we sent our son, and I realized that a lot of methods are used, rewards, punishment, behavior charts, timeouts, methods that I am completely opposed to. And for example, I was shocked that timeout could be in an official behavior management policy of a school, because in Greece, you're not allowed to use timeout. The school we are sending our son to are reviewing their behavior management policy, and they are not using timeouts anymore. However, they are using the thinking zone, that it's something like a sugar-coated form of timeout.
So they've just taken the same thing and renamed it, is what you think they've done?
Yes.
So if you let us know what the actual problem is with timeouts, because I think a lot of people just think, obviously you send the child away to calm down in isolation, to think about what they've done and hopefully come back remorseful or sorry or with changed behavior. So what's the negative effect of a timeout?
Okay, so we could have a whole different podcast about timeouts. It's a huge thing. So I will try to be short and use the words of my son, who was last year taken to the thinking zone, because in our school, they don't use timeouts anymore. They use the thinking zone, that it's not that the child is isolated somewhere, but they are taken to the corner of the class. They are in the classroom, but they are just taken aside sometimes. So my son was taken to the thinking zone last year, not from his regular teachers. There was someone who was replacing them, substitute for that day. And when we discussed about that, because my son doesn't go to timeouts or the thinking zone, and he knows that that's not a kind thing to do to someone else, we discussed it and we made a drawing about it. And my son said that he was feeling sad. And he was thinking that what was done to him was unfair. He was looking to the other children and believing that they are laughing at him. And when I asked him, because he was sent to the thinking zone because he was talking to his friend during carpet time. And I asked him, so talking during carpet time is right or wrong? And he said, it's wrong. And I asked him why. And he said, because it will take you to the thinking zone. So sending a child to timeout or thinking zone, or however we can call it, in Greece we call it the chair of thinking. So the child doesn't understand, doesn't focus it's their thought on what they have done. They just focus their thought on that I am alone, they threw me away from the group, I am a bad person, the others may laugh at me, they are scared, they are angry, they are sad, depending on each child's temperament. And so their body is filled with stress hormones. Their brain can't think clearly, and they are actually focusing on themselves being bad, not what they did. So remorse, and sometimes they make kids say sorry before coming back to the group. It's only they know that I will say sorry and I will go through that. So nothing is to be gained from that, nothing to be learned. Just the child feeling bad, being full, it's their body being full with stress, and that's all.
I do want to say, I'm sure you will agree, that we obviously have a lot of empathy for teachers, because it's a really hard job, like you said, and they're just doing the best they can within the framework that they've been given and the guidelines. So all the teachers are doing the best they can. We both agree with that.
Absolutely.
And it's not easy, but I do think that some of the measures that are used in schools to get good, air quotes, good behavior out of children are really ineffective. And it's so difficult because I think a lot of teachers don't know what else to do because I think we have talked about this before. If you've got a class of 30 odd children, and there's maybe 2 teachers in there, and because there was a situation, wasn't there, where we had an example when we were working training with Jai about a child who wasn't getting ready to go out for break time or something, and the whole class was lined up waiting, and the whole pressure on that teacher to get the class outside because she was on playground monitor and having to deal with that one child. And I'm sure there's a conflict there where you need to deal with that one child, and that child's feelings matter and they're important, but you've also got 29 other children, and you might have one or few in there who are neurodiverse who need to go outside ASAP, but they've been held up by that one child who's also maybe neurodiverse and can't get moving. And it's, how do you manage all these needs of 30 children and in a short frame of time? It's an impossible thing that we're asking them to do, isn't it?
It is impossible. It is. No matter how much no matter how much you want to do it, it is impossible. Because I have one child, you have 4 children. We can't manage I have one, you have 4 children. You can't manage your 4 children and their needs at the same time. It's impossible. It is impossible. So if we want things to change and the needs of our children to be taken care of at school, there has to be a bigger change in how school works.
Whole system,
the whole system that changes. And what I've seen from my experience, because I was working for 12 years, and then I left when I was pregnant, and I was off school for 2 years. During these 2 years, I started reading and educating myself regarding child development and parenting, because I had the motivation that I was to be a mother. And I gained knowledge that I had never imagined that existed. I was never taught about it at university. And when I went back, the year that I was working after coming back as a mother, and with all this knowledge that I have, I was a completely different teacher. Even though I had, I think there were 19 or 20 children. In Greece, it's only one teacher with around 20-25 children. We have an extra teacher if there is a child with learning disabilities or any other additional needs. This is the only reason that we will have an extra teacher in the class. I had a lot of kids who could be described as difficult. They were not diagnosed, but maybe they should be. And I found myself struggling much less with taking care of their needs thanks to the knowledge I had. Because I could explain things, I could be more proactive, I could have more empathy for them, I could use tools to support our relationship. I prioritized our relationship. I always did, I think, because I always loved kids and I was on their side.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you said something so important and really powerful there, which is that you prioritize the relationship. And I think not on the fault of the teachers, but I think in school, the priority is getting them to a certain academic standard, not the connection and not the relationship, which obviously is important that kids know how to read and write and do their maths, absolutely important. But what is that at the loss of? What's the payoff when that's the only aim,
And I think that creating relationships is something that is different here in the UK. I don't know how, if that is different for teachers and students, because last year my son had a very warm relationship with his teachers. But regarding the relationship between parents and teachers, I find that here creating a relationship and getting the teacher to know the parents better is not prioritized, because we don't meet the teachers.
No.
In Greece, the first 2 or 3 weeks, now September, the beginning of the school year, we have a meeting with the parents in the classroom, and the teacher will discuss with the parents separately, or first all together, that she or he will explain how things will work. And then we have a meeting that parents can share information about their families, about whatever they want to share. And getting to meet the parent of a child gives you huge amount of information about the child themselves. There are many questions that are answered when you meet the parents. And here in the UK, I feel that this is not prioritized. We just have the formal relationship and just speaking on the phone or through email. And yes, creating a relationship is crucial, because if the children feel safe with you and feel connected with you.
Because I think one of the things you just said about feeling safe, you know, being seen, you know, these are the things I think should be prioritized in the classroom. And when you feel safe emotionally, you're more likely to learn better, aren't you, in that environment? Okay, so of all the things you've learnt in your training, in your parent coaching training, what are some of the ideas, things that you think teachers could really benefit from implementing in their classroom?
Actually, I think that everything we learned through this training would be extremely beneficial for teachers. Their role is not very much different from the role of their parent, and their everyday interactions are not very much different. So, but I think that there are 3 main things that would be very beneficial for teachers to know. The first is brain development, how the brain of children develops according to their age and how it functions in every stage, so that teachers will have appropriate expectations based on science and focusing on the actual capabilities of children at different ages and stages of development, and not the academic goals as dictated by the government, because the academic goals don't match the mental capacity of children. We require from them to do things that they can't do, they are not wired to do. The second one is the nervous system, how it works, how necessary is for the child to feel safe in order to be able to learn. And by safe, we don't mean that the school is a literally dangerous environment. No. There are no tigers or external threats, or teachers are not beating them. But we know that the body, especially a child's body that is much more sensitive, interprets external stimuli sometimes as danger. For example, loud noises, or children all singing together can be very stressful for a child. So being with a lot of other people, sometimes for some children, even recess can be stressful, or lunchtime. Transitions are very stressful for children. Lack of movement. Some children need it more, some children need it less. But if they are made to sit still for a very long time, their body starts feeling that that's not okay. It's not feeling safe. So if teachers know that how the nervous system works and what children need to be safe, they can make amendments to support children. They can make amendments to be proactive, to if they notice their children, they can see what stresses them more and adjust routines or stimuli. The everyday can be smoother for some children.
Yeah.
Or provide sometimes a calming time. In my son's school, they have a sensory room where children feel overwhelmed and very tired can go there and relax, and they can be more able to go back and learn
in a calmer way.
Or they can use fidgets in the class. Of course, knowing the nervous system is very beneficial for teachers too, for themselves.
Yes, definitely.
Because the classroom is very stressful for a teacher too. Sensory overload is real. And if they can notice the stress rising in themselves, in their body, they can take better care of themselves, take a break, or use some sensory tools, as we have learned in our training. We can use as parents to help our body calm down. So if they can support themselves, they are better able to support their students too, and create a calm and healthy environment for everybody's nervous systems. And of course, to prevent their burning out.
Which we know is a big thing, isn't it? Teacher burnout is real.
It is. And I think that every teacher can say that they don't get sick during the week. They get sick during weekends and during holidays.
Yes.
I think that almost every teacher I know is sick during Christmas holidays. Another thing that we learned during our training, and I think it's in the core of everything, is the importance of relationships and connection. And during our training, we read that amazing book, The Power of Showing Up, by Dan Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson. Which speaks about the 4 S's of connection, and that is the child needs to be safe, needs to be seen, that we accept the child as they are, we love them understood, no matter understood, we love them no matter what. The child needs to be soothed when they feel stressed, and they need us to soothe them and to help them feeling again calm in their bodies, and to feel secure that we are there for them no matter what. We won't leave them alone. And that brings us back to how ineffective is the practice of timeouts. Because all these 4 needs are not met.
That's so true.
So the child cannot be in the place of learning, cannot be open. They are not able to change and to adjust. And even if they do, it's because they are afraid of losing the connection. Or they're so stressed that they are frozen and they can't do anything else. It's not that because they are consciously choosing to alter their behavior.
Yes, I think that's a really powerful point, because I think that when a child does then sort of behave or do what we want after they've received some sort of punishment or timeout or isolation, and they come back and they say sorry or they have changed their behavior, we think that's a win, don't we? But but how sad is it to consider that they might have just done that because they don't want to lose the connection? It's really sad. They've done that. They've done it out of fear, and it's not real, lasting, permanent change. It's just a reaction to fear and not wanting to lose something that's a lifeblood for a child. Connection to your caregiver or it's life to them, and
Yeah. It's a matter of, of life or to death, because
hmm
we are mammals, and children, if their caregivers don't want them for their brain, which
yes,
is functioning from the emotion center, that means that they may die. They
mm,
may be abandoned in the jungle and tigers will eat them. This is, this is so powerful to know that children will do whatever needed for us as parents, as teachers, to want them.
yes, it's just so true. Okay, so those are some of the things that, would really benefit teachers and the students to be implemented in the classroom. But what are one or two things, you don't have to go into so many, maybe just one or two things that you think we could do with taking out of the classroom because the negative effects far outweighs the positives?
Mm-hmm. I think that rewards and punishments should
Mm,
be taken out. And if teachers and the school in general takes care of the needs that we mentioned before, rewards and punishments will not be needed. Moreover, it has been scientifically proven that rewards and punishments are not effective long
mm,
term anyway. There are a means of control. We are just controlling the behavior of a child. The child may not understand why a behavior is right or wrong. They don't actually work in altering a behavior long term. They are just for the moment. We
mm-hmm.
want the child to do something and we are giving a reward, or we are threatening them for a punishment. It is highly possible that they will comply, but
Yes.
they won't have internalized the reason of why this behavior is right or wrong. And there is also research that proves that rewards and punishments do not contribute to higher performance. On the contrary, there were some times that performance was negatively affected by the promise of a reward, because people were too stressed if they are going to get the reward, and they couldn't
Yeah.
perform the way they needed to.
Yes.
Moreover, using rewards and punishment contributes into people and children specifically losing their intrinsic motivation,
Absolutely.
the moral values behind doing something. For example, if we reward a child for playing with another child, or for speaking politely, or for helping someone, there is a moral value behind that. The child focus on the reward, so they lose that internal motivation of, there is a child alone in the backyard, in the playground, so I will go play with them. This is something that happened to my son. My son played with a girl who was alone in the playground, and the teacher wanted to give him a reward, a golden ticket, as they call them. It's a yellow piece
Yeah.
of paper. And he told me that I told the teacher that I don't need it.
Oh, well
Because
done, Alex.
yeah. And I asked him, why? What was your reward? And he said, my reward was playing with the kid. And he was wondering, why would someone want to give me a piece of paper for playing with the kids?
Yeah.
So rewards are not effective for changing a behavior permanently.
Yeah, that's really important because I always say, I think us parents do it sometimes too. And with teachers, because they have such a small amount of time to do what they feel like they need to do to get every child in their class to reach a certain standard. And I think with parents, we feel that pressure sometimes. For example, if your child has a tantrum or meltdown outside and you've got a short space of time to get them to do what you need them to do, because you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or whatever. We do go for that short-term goal of, let me just get this child to do what I need them to do now,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And I feel
mm-hmm.
like that's what's happening in schools, isn't it? Is that short-term vision of, let's just get them through these year
Yes.
1, year 2, year 3, year 4. And with parents, it's like, let me just get this kid out of the house, into the car, or where we need to go, whatever it takes sometimes. And we lose the long-term vision, is
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
getting them to understand why things need to be done. And
mm-hmm.
that's not saying I don't understand the need for that short-term vision, because like I said, sometimes you just need them. We need to get in the car. We need to, you need to do this test.
Yeah, we
I
need them
understand.
to try a new
Yes,
food.
we need them, but as long as we all have that long-term vision in mind
Mm,
of, we're raising human beings, we're raising them into adulthood, not,
mm,
you know, children. So we need to get their brains working in a way that they understand why they're
mm.
doing things, or why things are happening. And that takes time, doesn't it? Because like you said, the brain develops in such a way that it's a certain thing at a certain time. It's not everything at once. It's bit by bit by bit. And I think it's just part of human society, isn't it? Where we're impatient, we don't have the
Yeah,
time.
we are addicted to dopamine. We
you
want
know
a reward for everything. We are distracted.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's how we are trained
Yes.
to have the carrot, to run towards the carrot
Mm-hmm.
and to run to avoid the stick.
Yes.
But they are the same thing because we have lost our focus.
Yes. Even it starts from when the children are babies, is your baby sleeping through the night yet? Are they eating
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
Can they walk? Can they read? Can they, let's give these babies time, you know?
yeah.
It's okay.
Time. Time is something that we are all struggling with, and
Yes,
especially
yeah.
at schools. This is why I think that if we want to see a real change in how schools work and teachers work,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be a change from above, a change of
Yes.
philosophy, a change of the system,
Mm-hmm.
so that yes, teachers won't have to struggle with time, don't have to
Yes.
run and pressure themselves and their
Mm-hmm.
children to get to a point that they have to, no matter what.
Yes.
So
That's right.
there is a bigger and wider change that has to happen. I don't know how it can happen. I hope that we
It's
teachers,
small changes, isn't it? I think
yeah.
just little small changes. And but I wanted to stop you quickly, because my final question is, because I think you might go into it if I don't ask you this now, is, what's your big why? What's your vision for you as a teacher, as an educator, as a parent coach? What's your big why, your big vision for what you do and the work you're in?
um, my first why when I decided to change career was what my husband told me when I decided to change career and I was discussing with him what should I do. He told me, since you know all these things
Mm.
and we have seen firsthand how they have worked with our child, and since you love talking to everyone about these things, why don't you do it and make money out of it?
Mm.
So my first why was that, yes, I want to speak to people about all this wonderful stuff.
Mm.
And my second why is something that a student told me once. It was the best compliment I have ever heard, is that he told me, Miss, you have not forgotten how it is to be a child.
Oh, that's a great compliment.
Yeah, it is. And it was from a child who was called a difficult one. I adored him.
Oh,
And I remember how it is a child, and I want to defend children,
yes.
to be on their side. And I also believe that knowledge is power,
Yes.
and we have the knowledge, we have access to the knowledge. So I now would like to support parents into getting this knowledge, embodying it, putting it in practice, and seeing the results. And both parents and educators, because educator is, half of me. I won't stop being an educator. I can't imagine not being one. I will be an educator for adults now, but so yes, I believe that if we gain this knowledge and we implement it in our daily lives, we can be very empowered, and we can create change. We can create change to our families. We can create change to our schools. And why not create change to the world?
Absolutely, yes. Oh, thank you so much, Eirini. That was great, and that is an amazing vision and an amazing why. But thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you, Paula. It was amazing.
It was amazing, and always so insightful, and I always learn a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you would like to connect with Eirini, you can do so on Instagram and also on Facebook. Her page is Learn, Love, Grow, Shine. And as always, if no one has told you today, you're doing a great job, and I'm proud of you. And I'll see you next time.